Okay, so today, 10th of March, we are here. So you'll be probably looking into doing a bit more trig, area of a triangle, sine and cosine rules. So sometimes I do see questions coming like that in the trig side of things. The good thing is you will have, or I'll speak through the SQA updates onto what you need to revise on and what type of question you may get. The good thing for you is there is no bearings type questions. Okay, so that's a big part taken off. So because there are no bearings questions, let me know. Someone's just joined. I forgot to take the name. Whoever's just joined now, is that Rachel? Yeah. Okay. So I will talk today about the update from SQA. So there's a revision plan that we've put together, myself and Rachel, who's the Tuesday teachers. And this week's work is to do with fractions and percentages. Past paper question, we will look into that. I will review the mini booster paper A, just to say that I've made it open so that it's not time limited anymore. So even if you still want to do it, you can go and do the booster paper. It just means, unfortunately, you will see now as I'm going through the answers. Then we look at application of trig, area of a triangle, sine and cosine rule. Okay, so any questions so far?
Yeah, just a quick question, Adrian.
Yeah.
Last week, as we were going over the prelim, the mini prelim, there's one question at the very end that we didn't get to go around. Would it be possible to go over that one? Because that was one that I spent ages racking my brain about, and I know it was definitely wrong.
Yeah, okay, I could do that, no problem.
Thank you very much.
Just remind me towards the end, and then I can go through that question.
Perfect.
No worries. So this week on the 8th of March came up from SQA this note that anyone should be able to see. You'll be able to see it as well, because I'll save this as a PDF and I'll upload it on Canvas. So before we started, this is what we had from SQA, these 3 bullet points here, telling us these 3 would not be in the exam. Now, as you can see, a good number of things have been taken out. So they're not full topics, because vectors is a full topic, similarity a full topic, and 3D coordinates usually taught as a topic. So these are part of topics, okay? And as you can go through them, you can see what is and what is not. But what we've done is we've put a revision plan together, which will tell you exactly what you need to revise on. So that's one thing. And there is another thing I'm going to share with you so that you can see everything that you need to know in order to get ready for the exam. So I'm going to share it with you so you can see what I'm talking about just now. Okay, so this is a paper prepared by a group of people called Zeta Math. So they give you the contents of everything that is in the Nat5 paper. But the good thing is they've prepared what we call a revision plan with red, amber, and green for you to go through and tick as you go. So what I would like you to do, guys, is try to get hold of, so once it's going to be put onto Canvas, if you can download it, and as you go through your revision, try and see, as you go through them, if there are any things here, any section that you find too difficult or not difficult, so that you can go and say, okay, I'm going to put a red here because I'm struggling with rounding to significant figures. For me, surds, I'm fine with it. I'm going to put it as a green, basic surds. So the good thing about this revision plan, they've taken out everything that the SQA has said is not going to be in the exam. So everything that is in here, you can see page 1, page 2, page 3 and page 4, 5, and at the same time, they give you a little example. For example, equations with brackets, they give you an example. Can you still do that? Do you remember how to do that? Solving an equation, if you're green with that, you just put green. Okay, so then that would force you to know what part have you got as red, which is the parts that you need to work on. Okay, so it goes through every single topic that we have been through and what kind of question you could have during an exam. Okay, so I don't think there's any better detailed paper that is out there today that would be as helpful as this one. Okay, so once you get this paper, try and go through it. Like I said, see where you need to work on. Let me know which part you've got in red if you want me to help you with it. So there's even like parts on fraction. We've not done that yet. So quartile, interquartile, it's something that is not going to be in the exam actually, but standard deviation is there. So they're even giving you an example. So as of today, all the lessons should be on Canvas for you, which means you can go to your pace. You know, even next week's lesson has been released, which means that everything you need should be on Canvas. Okay. So any question with that? Because there was another thing I wanted to share with you, which is something else called a revision plan. And this one, again, it tells you that on the following pages, you will see all the topics with those excluded by the SQA. So if you were to go through, for example, let's pick an example. Working with reverse percentages, working with appreciation, depreciation. So anything that has been crossed out in red means that it's been taken out by the SQA. So you don't need to revise depreciation, for example. Okay. Now, if you wanted to revise working with reverse percentages, what Rachel did was she has put next to it the exercise on the Lecky book that would get you to revise this, for example. But the good thing is, if you don't know which lesson to go for, I'm going to show you. If you go to ClickView, because you have access to ClickView, and let's say you want to revise exercise 12A, you just go to ClickView, and in the search section, you just type exercise 12A, and straight away you will see introduction to straight line, which means there's the video there for you to look for. So sometimes there is a space between EX and 12, or sometimes there are no spaces. But if you type exercise 12A without the space or with the space, you'll be able to find the video that you're looking for that is attached to the exercise on your Lecky. Okay, so you can't make it more, you can't make it easier to access, basically. But if you've got any problem, let me know, because you should have access to ClickView where all the videos are. Any question with that? No? So again, it's quite detailed. Everything you see cross in red means the SQA has taken that question out from the exam. So let's say here, we've got expansions of brackets. You can have a question that looks like the first one. They're not going to put the one that looks like the second one, but you can have one that looks like the third one or the fourth one. So when you're going to be asked to factorize, they're not going to make a combination of any of the above. So that means you're either going to have a common factor, you're either going to see a difference of 2 squares, or you're either going to have to get a trinomials with unitary and non-unitary x square coefficient. It just means you can have x squared plus something or ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay. So this is where MAM, remember, comes to play, the trinomials one. Again, if you want to look at exercises to revise with, you can just go on the right-hand side. So I wish all this was done when I was at your position, because it would have saved me a lot of time when I was doing my revisions, because I had to go through the book myself and find out what is the exercise I need to work on. Whereas this can't be more step-by-step leading, walking you through. Okay, so you can see plenty stuff has been taken out. So you've got the chance this year to set a paper where I would say 90, maybe 80% of the type A questions have been taken out. The difficult stuff basically have been taken out by the SQA. Okay. So folks that were worrying, this is a good thing, because it just means automatically whatever you had, you've been given a 5% to 10% more than what you have achieved in those mini prelims so far. When the mini prelim was put together, the first one, this was not being taken into account. Okay. So using the discriminant to determine the number of roots, that has been taken out, for example, saying that you had 2 real and distinct roots, 1 repeated real root, 2 equal real roots. They've taken that question out from the exam. Now, some of the other stuff are still there. Remember when you had to calculate the area of a sector? You don't have to do that anymore. The only thing you have to think about is calculate the length of an arc. So, which means the only thing you should be remembering is the formula C equal pi d, but with the angle theta over 360 pi d. You don't have to remember the pi r square. Okay, so anything you will do is going to be pi d. Volume, and the ones that have been crossed out like this are the ones that we knew about already. When you're going to have like a graph, a sine or a cos graph, and they ask you to find the amplitude, or if you've got a cos bx, they're not going to add the phase. So you see that bx plus c, you're not going to be asked a question with a c, and they're not going to move the graph up or down. So it's just going to be symmetrical to the x-axis. And when they ask you, give the point A, I can bet you they will ask you, give the point C. If someone has done the booster question, you will see that question was given. Some people just gave the point A. Point C was asked. So here, if it was 3 sine x, for example, A equal 3, you need to write A equal 3, and C equal -3. Okay, so I think, Andrew, when you looked at that question, you thought it was A cos bx plus c?
Yeah, so I said it was 0 then, right?
Yeah, so you went c equals 0, so you lost the mark there because you answered a different question. You answered for A cos bx plus c. You didn't answer the A cos bx.
I can't remember the diagram off the top of my head, but was the C actually written down there, was it?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Then that's just completely my mistake. I'm just completely blind.
I'll show you later on. And do you know where B was? You told me B equal 4. B was this point here. They've told you what B was. So B was 360 in this case, or 90 degree for you. So you've lost a couple marks there. It's just reading the graph that you had You went and assumed straight away this is what they ask, because maybe
Yeah, I know that's
okay. It's just to watch for that. It's not that you didn't understand. It's more like you didn't read the question thoroughly, basically.
yeah. I'm guilty of that quite a lot, I think.
Yeah. So no, you're not the only one. So it happens. There was this, I think someone, I looked at the paper where it was asked to find the perimeter of an area, and the person assumed the question was calculate the area, whereas you were asked to find the line around it. So the person went and calculated area of a circle rather than the arc, length of an arc, the arc length, okay? So we really need to spend time now when we get a question. Doesn't matter if it takes you a minute long to read the question. Working with surds, they've removed the rationalizing denominators. I think it's, to be honest, I'm a bit sad with that because people usually get this one. You know, when you had 3/√2 and you were asked to rationalize, most of the people would say, oh, you time by √2 top and bottom. So that was an easy 2 marks that they've removed, and you would go 3√2/2. So that kind of question is gone. You're just going to have to simplify. Here with the surd laws of indices, they've removed the fractional one. So you won't have to think about a nth root a to the power m. It's just the basic ones. A to the power m, b to the a mn. Okay. So that's it. So this, I will put that into, I think I might have put it already into Canvas for you guys. You'll be able to go through it, see, and it's all detailed for you as you go. And you'll be able to know what are the questions that I'm expecting for this exam. Okay, so anything that you see crossed in red, Zach, has been removed from the SQA. So the prelim, we will look at the next prelim. We are going through the questions, okay, and I will let you know. But there was no, the second prelim, it's much easier. So it's made up of a question A and B and C type question. So I don't expect there was anything that difficult. Okay, the first prelim I could guarantee you was harder than normal. All right. Any question on that, guys? So I hope you'll find these quite helpful, quite handy, because it's taken a lot of hours of your time going through it. It's been put down, okay? And you guys are not gonna let me know, let me down, not at least trying it. Okay. To be honest, it's not a loss. Even I could still update it for next year, whoever is on next year. All right, so let's get back into today's work. So like I said, this is the list given by SQA. We've tidied it up for you guys. And if we don't have any questions, let's have a look at a fraction question. Anyone got any questions before we move on? Okay. All right, and just before I move on, for those who are starting revising past papers, let me know. I've got a list of the past papers from 2014 right up to 2019, I think. All those past papers, someone's put together an Excel spreadsheet telling you what are the questions that you don't need to revise on for the exam. So that's quite good as well. Okay. All right, so should we start going into today's lesson then? 2 marks. Give your answer in its simplest form. So whenever I see this simplest form, I know I'm going to try to aim for prime number or something that I can't simplify further. So whenever you're going to get questions, have a look. P1. P1 means paper one, no calculators. So that means we need to show some work in here. How do we get to the final answer? 2 marks for this. When you're going to have a fraction time another fraction or a fraction divided by another fraction, the first thing you do is this mixed fraction, you need to convert it into a what we call top-heavy fraction or improper fraction. How do I convert 1/5/7 as a top-heavy fraction? Who's got an idea? Who can tell me what do I need to do?
Add 7 onto 5.
7 onto 5. So what did you do to get 7 add on 5?
Well, if one whole is 7 parts, you're adding that 7 onto the 5 parts that are already there.
Yeah. So basically, that's the idea. You've got 1 plus 5/7, and that's how they write it. 1/5/7. So a whole, to get the common denominator, is the same as 7/7, and then 7 plus 5, which is 12/7. So if you think you are struggling with that, try to break it down. We can't make it easier than that. So you'll hear some teachers telling you, you take the denominator, you time by the number on the side there, so 7 times 1, and then whatever you get, you add that to 5. So I guess this is the way, Andrew, you were going. You went 7 times 1 plus 5, yeah?
Yeah.
But you realize it was 7/7 plus 5/7, yeah? So some people need to see where is it coming from, because they'll never remember the 7 times 1 plus 5. If you can break it down like that, that's a good start. So that's how we would start. 1/5/7 is 12/7. So you don't get a mark for that. Now, 3/8 times 1/5/7 becomes 3/8 times 12/7. Okay. So you write this, and then you start what we call simplifying, because at the top we've got 3 times 12, and at the bottom we've got 8 times 7. Okay, so how can I simplify this? Remember what I said to you? If you've got a prime number like 3 or 7, it's hard unless those around them are multiple of 3 or this one multiple of 7, there's nothing we can do. But you could rearrange this and write it's the same as 12/8 times 3/7. It's the same thing, because 3 times 12 is 12 times 3. And now how can we simplify 12 divided by 8? Remember, when I see an even number at the top and an even number at the bottom, what do I do? They're both even. Which timetable do they go in?
4, 2,
4,
half.
2, yeah, 2. Just go to the simplest stuff. 2, 6, because I divide by 2, and then 4. Now, what do you notice? 6, that's even. 4, that's even again. So you just do the same thing. 3/2. And that way you can't go wrong. And by doing this exercise, you get your first mark. So 50% of your mark is done by being able to obviously make a fraction top heavy and started simplifying. Now, to get your second mark, you finish with 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 7 is 14. Can we simplify that any further? I'm afraid you've got an even number. It can go into 2, it can go into 7, this one. But at the top, we've got 9. And the only thing you can do with 9 is 3 times 3. So because 14 is not a multiple of 3, to remember how to find a multiple of 3, you add the digits. 4 and 1 is 5, so that's not a multiple of 3. You just stop there. Any questions? So I don't think we can get easier mark than that. Okay, so 3/8 times 1/5/7 is 9/14. Okay, so let's have a look at another question here. So this one is a paper 2, so it's going to be a calculator paper. What I've been asked is to look for increase, so something that is appreciating. So appreciation is one of the things that was kept. So I've got 80,000 packages during 2018. This number is expected to increase by 15% each year. Calculate how many emergency packages the charity expects to distribute in 2021. So the first thing is, I'm going to find out how many years between 2018 2021. So you would go 2021 minus 2018, and that gives you 3 years. Okay. So we need to increase those packages year after year. So how do we do that? We need to find what we call the multiplier factor, what we call the multiplier. So multiplier, to get your multiplier, you start at 100% or a whole, and you add 15%. So what is 100% plus 15%? How many percent is that? 115%. And how do we write 115 divided by 100 in decimals? 1.15. That's your multiplier. Doing this gives you 1 mark. Now, the 2021 amount of packages is equal to your starting 80,000 time your multiplier 1.15 to the power of how many years this has been multiplied by? 3 years. You write this, you get your second mark. You plug that into your calculator, 80,000 times 1.15 to the power 3, it gives you 121,670. So in 2021, if we had started in 2018 with 80,000 packages, and each year they increase by 15%, after 3 years, we should be at 121,670. Okay. Any question with that? So important number of years. The multiplier, we went up 115%. Percent mean out of 100. So if you type 115 divided by 100 in your calculator, it will give you that decimal. Okay. So now let's say you get to the exam and you have a blank. Can you solve this? Yeah. Can you find out 15% of 80,000? Yeah, so you would say 15 over 100 times 80,000 plus 80,000 would be the value you get year one. Yeah, you would take that amount that you've just found, whatever that is, and you would take 15% of it. And you would find another value year two. You would take that amount and you would take 15% of it. And that would be your year three. When it's only 3 years, you can do them manually. But look what we've done, 15% of that is this. So 15%, you would put that in, would give you that. And then 15%, and that's where that 1.5 to the power 3 comes from. Because you take 15% of an amount, you take 15% off that again, and then another 15%. So you do that 1, 2, 3 times. Okay. So even if you had a blank, hopefully you can find 50% of 80,000 and add those two together. Year one, bring that in. Year two, bring that in. And then year three, that should be your answer. And you would get the mark. It would take you a bit longer, but at least you would get those 3 marks. Any question in either method? This is a quick one, especially if they ask you to calculate something over 7 years, for example. Imagine if you've got to do this 7 times, there's a good chance you're going to make a mistake. Whereas 1.5 to the, oh, is that 15%? Yeah, 15% plus 100%. That would be 1.15. Any question? Okay, so next question again. I've got Georgie had her roof repaired. She was charged an extra 2.5% for late payment. She had to pay a total of 977.85. Calculate how much she would have saved if she had paid on time. So basically, we're looking for what the original price would have been without the being late. So original price time 1.025 equal 977.85. How did I get the 1.025? So it's again 100% plus 2.5% is 102.5 over 100, which is 1.025. Just in case you wonder where that number comes from. So what is the original price? You take 977.85 and you divide it by 1.025. Again, that's a calculator question. And that should give you £954. Okay. That's what Georgie should have paid if she hadn't had a 2.5% late payment to pay. Makes sense? Because 954 is less than 977. Now, what is the question? So let me put the marks first. 1.025 multiplier, a mark. Original price, a mark. Someone gave me 954, didn't get the third mark. Why is that?
They're missing the pound sign.
So I've put the pound sign. Can you see on my screen a word in bold?
Oh, so you have to like take away 954 from 977.85 to see how much she saved.
So if I tell you 75% of people don't notice this, why do you think that is? Remember at the start, I did say, guys, we need to read the questions, especially if they are in bold. And that's why they've put the question in bold during this exam. This is taken straight from an exam paper. They have put it in bold and people were still missing it. Because as you go through this exercise, you tend to forget what the original question is. And that is a natural thing because your brain now is going into a mode of calculation. And we get to the green light syndrome. We want to move on to the next question because we think this is us. We've done the work. Okay, so we need to break that and we need to say, okay, I'm going to have a question, read the question, bring highlighters if needs be during an exam, highlight the important thing. And a bold thing is important. And then you would say, oh, I need to find out how much she would have saved. She would have saved the difference between 900. So she overpaid by 977.85 minus 954, take away 954, which gives you £23.85. And this is where the third mark comes. Okay. So that's what she paid as an extra. And you can quickly check that 2.5% of 954 is the 23%, £23.85 that she had to pay. Yeah. Any question? So you'd be surprised how easy it is to lose a mark, which is not a difficult mark to get. Okay. So I expect, because they've said depreciation is not part of it, most of the stuff that you will get is going to be more than 1 or 1.025, okay, etc. Quite happy? All right, so I'm gonna stop the recording at this